Hey, this is Dave from metalepidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review. What's up guys, Dave here from Metal Epidemic, back with another album review, and for this review Duncan Kyle and myself have been checking out the new album from Norwegian hard rock band White Void. The band's new album Ante will be released on March 12th via Nuclear Blast Records. So this is a debut album from White Void. These guys have only been together a very short period of time. The album was written and recorded between 2018 and 2020. Forged in the space between the occult rock of the 70s, the no excuses hard rock of the 80s, and the British new wave movement, they balance on the event horizon that separates old from new, aggression from melody, dream from drive. Add to the fact that these band members of White Void have backgrounds in Norwegian black metal, chiptune electronica, pop music and blues, and you'll see why Ante is an album that's hard to pin down. In the centre of White Void stands Lars R. Nedland, longtime member of Borknagar and Solefald, not sure how to pronounce that, leading a team of musicians including Tobias Solbach of Ishan, electronica staple Vergard Kummen, and blues rock virtuoso Evind Marum. The album was mixed and mastered by Öyster Brun. How did I do, Kyle? Was that pretty good there? That's pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Guitarist of Borknagar at Crowsound Studio. Apologies if I have fucked up anyone's name. I am Scottish. So,
what he was trying to say is Ivan.
Ivan, is that how you pronounce that? Ivan. Yeah. Oh my god. Well, White Void, to be honest, I knew very little about this band or album, to be honest. It wasn't until one of the singles came in from the label that I was
kind
of made aware.
All of us.
So, yeah, I was like, what do you think of this? And I must admit, when I checked out the single, which I think it was This Apocalypse Is For You, I think, I was instantly interested in what these guys were doing. Like I was reminded straight away, like I was thinking, my mind was going all places like Blue Oyster Cult or like New Model Army or like something more current, more like kind of Grave Pleasures or even a bit of Duel. And I love stuff like that. Anything that's kind of soaked in that kind of like gloomy atmosphere and has that really like good melodic hook, I'm in. So my interest was definitely piqued on first listening to these guys. What were you guys the same? Did you like when you heard that first track? Were you keen, Duncan?
Yeah, I mean, I think you prefaced it by saying getting heavy Beastmilk vibes from this, and that's exactly what I got from that thing there. So yeah, definitely. So I was very keen to check it out because like cool. Beastmilk famously, when they released that album, which his name escapes me now. Climax, that's right. When they released Climax 2014, was my album of the year. I thought it was fucking incredible, so yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Kyle? What did you think on first listen to the single?
First listen, I was like, this is what Ghost would sound like if they were actually from 1975.
Yeah, like Ghost are in my notes, so
yeah, and that immediately turned me right on. So very happy. I enjoyed the first listen very much. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, these guys they do have similarities to some of the bands that I mentioned, but they most definitely still have their own thing kind of going on at the same time. I think musically, they take more kind of risks in terms of kind of blending styles. A lot of these tracks are set against really interesting backdrops where the band are kind of layering sounds and elements to create a much bigger sound. The guitars in particular are often kind of layered up with like various clean and distorted tones. There's lots of like very kind of lush sounding lead work and solos blended in. Plus vocally, you've got a lot of kind of layered harmonies and backing vocals that again adds to the kind of thickness and the kind of power of each track. Stylistically, they've got, a lot of the elements I mentioned earlier. They've got the occult rock, hard rock, new wave, bit of post-punk in there as well. I also got a wee kind of hint of kind of prog on certain tracks as well. Where you go, you'll bring nothing, and the air was thick with smoke. Especially on some of the kind of keyboard parts, some of the chords and melodies were very proggy in places. But there's kind of so much to like on this, in my opinion. I think every time I listened to it, there was something else that I picked up on that I'd missed on the previous listen. And I think a lot of that is down to the kind of level of musicians involved in this band. They're not new to creating and arranging music, obviously, and you can hear that on Anti. Like, they're very good at what they do. And because of that, this album, it doesn't come across like a debut in any way, shape or form. So from a repeat listen factor, I found it quite a rewarding listen. Also from a production point of view, I thought it was very well done. I love how they've managed to capture that kind of new wave post-punk kind of texture, but it still sounds quite polished at the same time. And again, totally reminded me of kind of various prog albums that I've listened to over the years. It's very clean and kind of natural sounding. When I was thinking about like kind of standouts, I actually struggled to find a track that didn't really stand out on this release. They all have a pretty good hook or melody that, like, by the end of it, has kind of wormed its way into your head. I loved the shovel on the cross. I think it's a very kind of 70s rock kind of feel to it, but it's got that occult vibe kind of pulsing through it as well, which gives it a real, almost a bit of a dark kind of vibe to it. And I also really like the Apocalypse Is For You, which is one of the more kind of up-tempo tracks in the album. Lots of kind of gothic type vibes to it as well. Almost teeters on like psychobilly at times as well, some of the chords and rhythms, but again, it comes with a really good vocal hook, which will totally get stuck in your head afterwards. And I loved the big kind of 80s rock chords on the closer of the album as well. A very solid album. I thoroughly enjoyed it. From the single, I thought I was quite interested, but I was really surprised at how good it was and how consistent it was right across the board from start to finish. Duncan, what did you make of this debut?
I thought this was fucking brilliant. So this definitely, it's interesting because it's interesting that me and Kyle both lean towards the ghost thing pretty quick, because I could hear huge bits of that in here. Now, it's probably worth putting the cards on the table. Both me and Kyle are massive Ghost fans. Dave is not.
Not so much.
Dave really is. He's kind of. I think Dave thinks that we've all been indoctrinated into some ghost cult, and he didn't get the memo. But it's interesting. You mentioned things to do with proggy keyboards. Ghosts do proggy keyboards. They do commercial keyboards, but if you listen to one or two of their albums, they'll have a proggy keyboard section, which is certainly...
You've lost him. He's already looking at his phone.
Yeah, which is certainly what they're doing here. So I got those elements. Interestingly enough, the Gothic elements that you were talking about reminded me of him. Like in terms of the hooks, like or loathe him as a band, there's one thing they nailed down really fucking tight is the catchiness of the choruses, their vocal hooks. They're horrible fucking earworms that get in and don't come out, and there are elements of that in here as well. I think you're right. There's that 70s occultist stuff that you expect from bands, specifically your aforementioned bands that you went through, but whether it's Blue Öyster Cult or whatnot, and they are mixing an 80s element in it that works really, really well, but it's all blended in such a fashion that it sounds great without them trying to sound like... I think of when you listen to a band like Graveyard, for example. Graveyard are a 70s inspired rock band that sound like they could have recorded some of that music in the 70s. This doesn't sound that way. This sounds like a current album. It's it uses all the techniques that you would expect from modern recording, and I think it benefits from that. Ghost do the same thing. Ghost have an old sound, but there's no way a band from the 70s sounded like that. It's, you know what I mean? All they're doing is updating it, and they're updating it where it needs to be updated. The layering of the stuff in here, it's interesting you mentioned like the black metal influence in the back. That's what black metal bands essentially do, is just layer and layer and layer. Generally, no offense to the black metal fans, it's a lot of unlistenable shit that's just layered over the top of each other. In the case of this one, you're getting proper layering. So you've got like maybe a slightly more fuzzy, well, not even fuzzy, white noisy sort of guitar tone, but it has a tone that sits over it that's very, very clean, and you can make it exactly what it's doing, and then heavier elements. The songwriting's really, really good. The longest track in this one is my favourite favourite name of a track this month, which is The Fucking Violence of Love.
Yeah, that's my favourite
Which, once again, feels like it could have been on a hymn album. You know, I could imagine that dude standing there saying, you know, the fucking violence of love. You know, it has that. That in no way at any point feels like an 8-minute track. Like, at all, does not feel like an 8-minute track. And it must repeat that chorus God knows how many times, but it never gets sickening. The way they craft their songs is just great. I mean, some of them are written in the very poppy sensibility, which, once again, knowing very little about the band, the fact that you've got someone coming from a pop background, some of the songs are crafted very much that way. There's a lot of kind of 70s bluesy sort of stuff that's not in there for the, you know, that sort of thing, but there's sensibilities in the way they're writing, specifically on the hooks. That's all in there as well. Everything, it feels like it's just had care and attention paid to it. And it sits similar to other bands, whilst not sounding like, well, this is derivative of Ghost, or this is derivative of Grave Pleasures, or this is, you know, at least sound like their own entity, which I really like, because it's very, very easy. Trust me, there is a ton of Ghost wannabe bands out there at the moment. You know, where the record label's been like, you know, go and do this. They're mixing those elements, which I think we forget how big the influence of the aforementioned genres were in Scandinavia. They were fucking huge. So it doesn't surprise me that a lot of bands that come out from that scene have a huge 70s influence, because it was massive over there. So, you know, they're taking the best elements, they're incorporating the best parts, and they're putting their own spin in it to make something which I will play the shit out of this album this year. I guarantee, see, when we come to the end of the year, if this is not in top 5 albums I've listened to this year, I don't know, because it just, everything fits. Everything fits. And it fits in a way which makes me feel like this was always meant to be. I can't believe these are the only guys that have released an album like this, even though it does sound like other modern bands. I think this to me, for a first album, granted you mentioned who all the other guys are involved with, they're fucking well-established bands that have got a lineage of really good songwriting. Doesn't surprise me, Dave. But this is a home run. This is an absolute home run. If this isn't a winner for Nuclear Blast this year, you know, if they don't make money off this band this year, then someone somewhere needs fired. And genuinely, like, I was thinking about what I would pick for singles off this album. Any song on this album could be a single. Like, absolutely any. And I can't think of the last time I heard an album where I'm like that. Front to back, this is completely marketable. Like, and it has a wide-ranging appeal. You get your older, more kind of, and I say older, I mean older than us, guys.
Why'd you look me in the eye when you said older?
I mean, like, you could get people that are in their 50s just now to comfortably go and see this band. I think you could also get, like, kids that are 16 to go and see this band, and all be in the same group appreciating what they're doing for completely different reasons. And I think that's a hard art to nail, and they have nailed it hard. So I thought this was fucking brilliant. So there you go.
Nice. Kyle, what did you make of this?
I'm just going to be a contrarian and say fucking hated it. Just to throw a spanner into the works for 5 seconds in the review. I really, 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 really like this. Like you said, every song could be a single. It really could. But the thing is, every song could be a single, but every song has its own personality.
Yeah, definitely.
Every single song you listen to, you know it's that song. It's no other song on this album, and it's no other song that any other band has made either. I say they sound like Ghost, but I mean, there's a bit of an influence or a bit of a similarity there, just because they come from similar influences themselves. But I mean, I love Ghost. I love stuff like this. It's just, I mean, the production is ridiculously fitting. It's not perfect. It's not crap. It's somewhere in the middle, but it really, really fits it so well. Yeah. And it's not like it was produced back in the 70s, and it's not quite like it was produced in 2021 either with all the modern technology. It's really, really good. And considering each of the backgrounds of each of the members, like, it's so different, but it all comes through. And it works really well. and they're just unabashedly just having their own good time, and they're just themselves, and they're just like, this is us. We're a group of people from completely different backgrounds. We made this, and it works really, really well. And I don't know why.
It's like that way when you heard. It's like I think like when you were describing all the different backgrounds, the first band that sprung into my head was Zeal and Ardor, because that dude comes from an experimental pop background. And I think that's what makes his take on what he does, kind of slave folk music meets black metal, completely different from anyone else doing anything else, is because he comes from a different background, so he brings that kind of experimental use of sound and text, which, once again, we're talking about layering sounds, which is the backbone of black metal, to be honest. So it doesn't surprise me that it fits. And it's another thing where I think you should have more of this. I think you should be, in the world that we live now, you should never just have a band of, well, we all like Slayer. Yeah. Oh, that's great. You know what I mean? Right. It's, at this stage now, that there is no reason that a band made up of 4 people or 5 people should all be, we only listen to exactly the same music. There's so fucking much music out there now than there's ever been, and ever will be, until next week when there's more. But you know what I mean, like, there is so much that there's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse. So I think all the elements, though, I think work when you strip them down to their core elements. They all make sense in here. Production techniques, like the influences from the 70s, the kind of tinge of the black metal, which isn't really it's there, but it's not. I would never say in a million years, this is like one of the publications I saw today, I think it might have been Metal Hammer, was like, the vocalist says, check out these black and pop bands if you like black metal. I was like, no. It's very easy to use that as a buzzword, but no. I think
it's more subtle in its approach.
It's so subtle. It's so subtle that if you're not paying attention,
layering of
you're not paying attention, it's not there. And to be honest with you, we've said it before. Like, we none of us are like hardcore black metal fans, but we say the best bits of it are when you take elements or methodologies or whatever, and then bring it to your own sound. That's when it really captures something, and this is a case in point. It uses the least egregious form of it as a technique to bolster the sound that they do, and what you get is something not completely unique. But I can't imagine we're going to hear many albums that sound like this year, which once again is just another tick for it, because I can guarantee on the other end of the spectrum I'm going to hear, sorry Dave, about 100 generic death metal bands, about 100, I'm going to hear tons of stuff that just sounds interchangeable. I don't think we're going to have that here.
I agree.
The defence rests.
Can now take your wig off. I love how it was so catchy, but still, it's got its heavy moments. It's not like it shies away from heaviness or abrasiveness in any way. It's still got it, but it's so catchy. Yeah. But in a good way, because usually I shy away from catchy stuff. I'm like, no, fucking stop that. I don't want that worming in my ear, But this works, and I like it, and I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah. Okay, so rating-wise, for Anti from White Void, I don't know what to rate this now. You know what? I had a score in mind, but now you guys are almost talking me around another score here. There's a lot of good things to say about this. I'm impressed, especially as a debut, even though they've came from good stock. Not a lot of bands come right out of the gate with something as strong as this first time around. And I'm excited to see what they do next. On the kind of level and the quality of this album. I don't know. No, I'm going to stick my instinct. I'm going 4 out of 5 for this one on me. Duncan?
I'm going a 0.5 above you. Once again, similar to another review that I've already mentioned, I think when we come to about July time, when we do our mid-year top 10, I think you'll probably hear me singing that I regret giving this a 4.5 and it should have been a 5. I genuinely do. And I've listened a lot to this. 4.5 feels right just now, but like I say, if this isn't in the top 5 most listened albums for me this year, then I've had the best year ever. Like, literally, there is a sea of albums out there that are going to make my heart sore and my dick hard. So yeah, 4.5 for Anti.
Nice. And Kyle.
I will see you in July. I think I'm gonna. You know what? 4.5. Yeah, I think that's
Hashtag twinsies.
yeah. Yeah. What's the
Nice.
opposite of beat me down? No, you beat me up. No, raise me up. I don't know. I was going to
You
go
raise
4.5.
me up. So we need to get out of here. We've been recording too long. We need to get out of this room.
Yep. Nice, 4.5 from Kyle. Yeah, check this one out. It drops on the 12th of March on Nuclear Blast Records. The album is called Anti. If you want to check them out online, it's facebook.com/White Void Official. Put a link in the description below to the band's Facebook and any pre-orders. Thanks for checking out the review. Much appreciated. Let us know what you think. If you've heard any of the singles or you've heard the album, put some comments in below. Happy to hear your thoughts. We'll be back with another review very soon. But until then, take care and we'll speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.